Hey everyone, it's Andy with Acme Packs, and I welcome each and every one of you back for a new video. Today is the start of a new series called Welcome to the Hobby. Now, this is going to be a series geared towards people who are newer to the hobby from, just the last few months to just getting into it, to even people who are just looking for general tips and tricks on the hobby. Now, I've been in it for a while now. I've made a lot of mistakes. I've done a lot of good things, and I want to be able to share those experiences with you guys. And, I get a lot of questions on Instagram and Twitter and in my comment section of my videos. And I figure it might just be easier now to, make some videos about this stuff. So the first video that we are going to cover today is how and where to sell your cards. Let's get into it. So over the last few years, mainly the last 5 or 6 years, the hobby has really evolved into a buy, sell, trade type of hobby. And that has to do with the rise of costs of boxes, the rising cost of cards. People want to flip cards to fund their PC, flip cards for their full-time job, everything like that. It's a very different market than it was a decade ago. That was still around back then, but even more so now, the hustle is real and people want to sell their cards. They want to know where to sell their cards and how to do that. So that is one of the main comments I get is, what is this card priced at? Where do I sell this? How do I go about doing this? I'm new to the hobby. I don't know what I'm doing. And I get those comments more often than not. I get DMs to my Instagram, stuff like that. And if you guys ever have a question, feel free to reach out. I do my best to answer that regularly. So we're going to cover a few topics today. So where to sell your cards, and the pros and cons of each topic, and then basically how to comp your cards. So how to tell what cards are priced at and what they should be worth based on recent sales. So let's start off with the number of different places that you can sell your cards and the pros and cons of each. So the first place, and one of my favorite places to sell my cards, is a card show. Whether you're setting up at one or you are walking around, it's always the best part of the hobby is talking to people, especially for me. And that is where you're going to get the most interaction. You get the stories of the cards, you get to negotiate and do all of that. And that's a lot of fun to me. So card shows, if you are someone who's just walking around looking to sell your cards, the pros for that are going to be a full cash payout on your cards. You're going to pay about 80%, or you're going to get about 80% back, which that's kind of like an average. That's neither a pro nor a con. The big pro for that is it's 80% full cash back. But as far as fees go, you're not paying any, but I guess with the 80% you're paying a 20% fee. It's kind of it's similar to what you would pay for eBay or something of this like that, when it comes down to no shipping costs as well. So that's another pro. You have no shipping costs when it comes to selling at a card show. No, customer service or anything if you're selling to a booth. So yeah, I guess the pros are no shipping hassle. You get a cash payout. Not very customer facing when you have to deal with that. But the cons, neither here nor there. 80% comps on your cards, and dealers are a little bit more particular about what they want to buy. So they're not going to want to, buy every card that you have in your case, unless you have a really good case. They want cards with liquidity. They want hot players. They want the major sets like Prism, Topps Chrome, Select, all the big name stuff, the high-end products. Not always, but they look for stuff like that with high resellability. So they're going to be pickier about what they buy. But overall, it is one of my favorite places to sell my cards because it's easy, cold, hard cash. And if you have the right cards to sell them, it's an easy flip. So next up is the notorious eBay. eBay, no matter how you guys want to spin it, is a great place to sell your cards. Everyone likes to call it FeeBay because you pay 13% of fees. So one of the big cons, well, we'll go over the cons first of eBay. So high fees, shipping hassles, you're a little bit more customer facing because if something goes wrong, you are totally liable. And it is very time consuming with posting your cards up for auction or up for buy it now, and then, sending out offers and everything. But all that is, in my opinion, outweighed by the number of eyes that are on your cards. So eBay is right now probably the biggest card selling platform in the world, unless something else changes in the next few years or whatever, something happens. But it is going to get you the most eyes on your card and your best chance to sell said card. So that is the biggest pro. It outweighs all the other ones. The cons, they hurt. The eBay fees, they suck. But you are paying that price to be able to sell your card. You might not be able to sell a specific card anywhere else on any other platform unless it's eBay, and you get those eyes on it. So next up, kind of an association with eBay, is ComC. Now, ComC, you guys have heard me talk about a little bit in the past, but great platform for selling cards. Now, we'll go with the pros for it first. It's perfect for selling, $5 to $50 cards. You can go higher than that as well. It frees up all of your storage. So you send all of your cards to ComC that you want to sell, and they store it in their warehouse. And then all you have to do is price the cards. They upload them to their website, which coincidentally also gets uploaded to eBay, although it's at a higher price than what you have it at ComC because they have to pay for like the eBay fees and everything at that point. But you are still getting that dual visibility between ComC and eBay. So huge pro there. You don't have to ship anything outside of the stuff that you shipped to ComC, another huge pro. So big time saver. And that's why I use ComC to the point that I do. I have thousands and thousands of cards sent to ComC already. I've sold thousands of dollars of cards on ComC, both through, their platform and the people who buy those cards through eBay. So you're getting dual visibility, lots of eyes on your cards. And like I said, it is a huge time saver. Now, there are costs that associated with putting your cards up. So these are going to be the cons. They can be from 50 cents up to $2 if you're doing like the super express, like high value, high graded stuff at $2 a card. 50 cents is their normal rate, which is about 12 to 16 weeks to get your cards up. I personally do the $1 per card, which takes about, I want to say about 2 to 3 weeks to get your cards from arrival to them. So they'll start piling up on there. I just sent an 800 card sub to them. They will start going up probably in a few days, and all I have to do is price them. It would have taken me forever to do that on eBay, to post all of these 800 cards. Now, you should only send in cards maybe about $4 to $5 and up from there to kind of make it worth it, because there are fees associated with ComC as well. So you have the per card fee. You pay 5% on the transaction. So when someone buys one of your cards, you pay 5% of that. So kind of like eBay there. And then you have, when you make a sale, it goes into ComC store credit. And then from there, if you want to cash that out, it's another 10% on top of that. So all said and done, the fees kind of equal eBay when you kind of add it all together. But you are saving a ton of time. That's my big thing, is I don't have time to list 800 cards on eBay, but ComC does that for me. So I send most of my stuff over to there. So personally, I have shifted most of my cards from my eBay account to my ComC account. I've pulled a bunch of them off there and sent them all in a box to ComC because my time is more valuable than maybe making an extra 1 or 2% off of eBay. So next up, which is also kind of an association with eBay, you can consign your cards. So there are lots and lots and lots of companies that will consign your cards. ComC is kind of like that, but also not. It's kind of both. You can consign your auctions through them, but there are better companies for that, in my opinion. Ones that care about what time your cards are ending at and everything. ComC doesn't really do that yet. And they'll probably get there eventually, but I've heard a lot of gripes from people who have used ComC's auction service. So big ones, big notable ones, you've got DC Sports. They're a huge one. You've got Probstein, which is actually pulling all their stuff off of eBay in favor of their own website now or their own platform. So good on them to be able to do that. Other than that, you probably have some local ones too. My LCS does consignments. So I can take all of my cards that I want to sell, take them over there, and they will auction them for me. So another, just like ComC, big pro to consignment is it's a time saver. It's a huge time saver. Also, those accounts normally have a lot of followers, so you're going to get a lot of eyes on your cards, but you are probably going to pay the biggest fees for those platforms. So, for instance, like my LCS, if it's like under $50, I believe you get 75% back of what it sells for. And then, it goes up and up and up as how expensive your card is. I think he said it was like, over $1,000, it's like you get 90% back. So that's just how that goes. But it's a huge time saver. You might sell your cards for more than they're actually worth, just due to the sheer amount of eyes if they have a big following on those platforms. But it's a good way to sell your cards if you have a lot of bulk and not a lot of time to deal with it. So now we're ending with kind of a generic platform to sell. So pretty much any social media app. So Twitter/X, Instagram are big places that people will buy, sell, and trade cards. Now, pros of that. This is an iffy one. I know a lot of people who do sell through Twitter and Instagram who have had a lot of success with it. However, there are a lot of risks involved with it as well. So the pros of selling via a social media site like Twitter or Instagram: no middleman fees. You are selling your cards, you get all of the money back. There is no hassle as far as that, no fees. You have to pay shipping costs unless it's like agreed upon. You set your own terms as a seller. Whether or not, the buyers want to agree to those terms is up to them. You can put your card up for whatever price you want. Whether or not you'll get that price is, kind of up to the market. But that is the biggest selling point of selling on a social media site like that. Now, the negatives of it: it is extremely customer facing. It is a lot of work. You're going to have to answer a lot of questions. You're going to have to provide a lot of things manually, like tracking and updates and everything, as people are looking for those, especially, if there's no legitimate website, or you could be a legitimate business, but it could be a while for you to build up a customer base or anything. And something that you really need to be aware of with those sites are scams and exploits. So a lot of people will ask for PayPal friends and family, which is fine. It's fine, but it doesn't offer the buyer any protection. So you're saving on like 3% fees as the seller if you do it that way, but neither of you are protected if something goes wrong. That's why I always opt to do a business transaction through, my business accounts. If I do sell a card that is not on one of the previous mentioned sites, that is a big thing. Scams and exploits, people have lost a lot of money. There's been lawsuits. People spend a lot of money on cards, especially big ones. And you can very easily get scammed if someone is good at Photoshop, if someone is stealing pictures and say, hey, I have this card, but they actually don't. They just stole the picture off of eBay. Stuff like that is rampant in the hobby right now. Where money is, stuff like that follows. And unfortunately, it is the same in the hobby. So be careful out there. I advise never to do trades on the internet unless you know who the person is personally, or the person has a very good reputation or something like that. It's just too risky out there, and I don't want anyone to get scammed when selling off of a legitimized platform. So lastly, when selling your cards, you want to have comps. You want to have comparisons for other sales of your cards. So you're always going to have, some sort of a previous sale to go off of. Comps are always fluctuating depending on, Pokemon. I don't fully understand. It's just popularity. Stuff is just shooting through the roof. But sports cards are a little bit more linear, in where if a player is doing well, their cards are going to go up. If the player is doing poorly, their cards are going to go down. And then, of course, you have the rarity, the product set, the condition of the cards. Those all affect what cards will be sold for. But for the most part, you should be able to see a previous sale and figure out what your card could be worth. So there are two sites that I use for that. One that you shouldn't use is the eBay sold function, the sold listings function. So that used to be a reliable way to comp. It is not anymore because Panini does not show what the best offer accepted was, or even if there was a best offer accepted, because they just want stuff to be, sold for higher margins. If it is at an auction, yes, you can see that, but if it's a best offer accepted, you will not be able to see that. In which case, you go to a free website like 130point.com. You can type in the name of the player you're looking for, the card that you're looking for, the parallel, and find a pretty close comp to it. And make sure that you're always checking to see if there are, outlier sales or anything. There's no set science to it or anything, but you can take kind of like the last 3 sales and average them out, and that could be a pretty legitimate comp at that, unless something was shill bid or something along those lines. So that is a free service that you can use. Another one that is a paid service, unless you have a PSA membership, is Card Ladder. Now, that is a phone app. It's very convenient. I use it when I'm at shows, both as a seller and a buyer, to comp cards. And it's not perfect. It's a little slow. You have to type in the cards perfectly. Otherwise, nothing will show up. However, it is very good. It shows the market. It shows what the estimated value should be. It'll show someone got like a good deal or something. It is a very, very good paid comping app to see what is going on in the hobby, especially with certain cards. So very much recommend either of those sites. 130 Point if you want to go free, or if you want more of a travel pocket edition, Card Ladder is awesome. So that's going to do it for this episode of Welcome to the Hobby. I hope you guys liked the first iteration of this and got some good knowledge, some helpful advice out of it. And if you guys want to see content similar to this, or if you guys have a recommendation, let me know down in the comments. Remember to like and subscribe, and I will see you guys next time.